Welcome to the Hockey Huddle, the ultimate podcast for hockey fans by hockey fans, where we break down the latest on and off ice from power plays to game-changing trades. Whether you're a diehard fan or new to the sport, we've got all the action, analysis, and hot takes you'll need to stay in the game. We'll bring you exclusive interviews with other fans, weekly breakdowns, and everything you need to know from the NHL and beyond. So lace up your skates, grab your stick, and let's drop the puck on today's episode of the Hockey Huddle. Well, here we are, episode 6 of the Hockey Huddle podcast, and it's Gong Show already before we've even started. So Rick here, and Jay, and Shane, our special guest, is on the pod today. Guys, it looks like you're in line for the Taylor Swift concert. Is that what's happening right now?
Well, I don't know if we're in line. We're in the backstage pass area, buddy, because Shane and I have been fans for how long?
We were Swifties before Swifty was even a word, right? Obviously, yeah.
So is this like is she coming? Is she coming on the pod now, or do we wait for her to come on? Or I've got the questions ready.
Her and Trav are going to come down. They said probably around the midway point, so we should be good to go.
So we'll wait for her and Travis Kelce. Okay.
Yeah, because they're playing Buffalo. So Travis said that he asked us to come by. So here we are.
All right, perfect. Well, hey, on this week's episode, we're going to talk about the origins of our podcast. We're going to talk about Leafs versus Capitals, Flames versus LA. We can't not talk about Alexander Ovechkin and his quest for 894 goals. And we're going to talk about some goalie rituals, and we've got some more major injustices this week, and I think that'll be a great way to wrap up the pod this week. But Jay, I thought it'd be cool to tell the story. What's the origin of our podcast?
Well, so what happened is, just so everybody knows, Rick and I back in the day used to have discussions back and forth all the time, talking hockey, having our own little discussions and whatnot. And then I hadn't seen Rick for a while, and my good buddy here, Shane, and I were having an argument where he was wrong.
I probably was right.
We'll see. We'll ask the fan. Anyway, so we had this discussion, and what it was who I bet Shane that Alexander Nylander would be playing with William Nylander with the Maple Leafs this year, and he said there's no way. I said, you know what? Let's call Rick and let's see what Rick says. So
there's no way that happened.
After 37 minutes, it turns out they were both wrong. But that's how this podcast started. So what did you think was going to happen with Alexander Nylander, buddy?
At the time, I still said no. I was like, no way. He's not making it up. There's too many other people in front of him. I don't think it's going to happen. Kind of. And then later on, now I realized I just looked it up. I Googled it, and he's on an AHL contract. So I was still right, even though I was kind of wrong.
Well, I think we need to discuss that because if I would have known he was on an AHL contract only, and we need some help with this. So if anybody wants to write into the show or make a comment or whatever, or direct us, what the information that I've gone on to see is that because he's got an AHL contract only, the Leafs can't call him up unless he goes through waivers. And if he goes through waivers, Rick, what does that mean?
Yeah, so I don't think that's what it is. I think he's on an NHL contract, but he's with the Marlies, but he's on a one-way contract. So that one-way contract means that if he gets called up, he can't go back down unless he goes through waivers. So we're not sure exactly what kind of contract he has. I think it looks like
AHL. It's AHL.
I think it looks like a one-year NHL contract. But
all right, so we're going to have to look it up and we're going to have to agree to disagree. But I'm pretty sure I thought it was AHL contract only. And based on that, the Leafs they don't have the opportunity to do that unless, I don't know, the only other caveat or loophole that I was thinking of was maybe he could come in for the playoffs. Right?
Yeah, like a
lot of times you get players that get called up from the playoffs all the time who are on the AHL that you pull up that you're able to make the roster, right? They say who is going to make the
NHL the prime example is Knives. I think basically, right? Yeah. Kind of Knives, but I don't know. I don't think I don't think Nylander is nice. I think he might be Josh Ho-Sang. I don't know. I had high hopes for him, and then nothing, zero.
Is he still in Russia, Josh?
He's all right. Might not even be doing that. Man.
Yeah. He might be in the Swedish second league or something at this point, and just tearing it up in the Swedish second.
Yeah. 4 goals in 11 games. Yeah, that's true.
So, Rick, what was your take on the origin of the show? How close were we?
Close. I think my recollection of it is Shane and I calling you an idiot for 35 minutes of the 37 minutes.
And really good. First time talking to you. Yeah, we on a lot of things already.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's horrible. But I'm telling
Yeah.
my gut says that Alexander, he's going to be up there, man. I feel somehow, I don't know. After we figure out this contract dispute, we'll figure it out.
Oh, I hope you got lots of points in your Timmy's account because I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. I'm going to take.
You got to split it with me now because I'm in on it.
Yeah, deal. Yeah, fair deal. Yeah, let's do it.
The update for points for there's 11 games played, 5 goals, and 3 assists. Not only is he putting the puck in the net, he's starting to pass it around a little bit. So good job there, sharing that biscuit, buddy.
I think it's a 1-year tryout. Prove it to us this whole year in the minors, and we'll talk next year when Tavares' contract is off and there's some extra money to spend, and we'll see if we can fit you in. But you have to do this, and this in the minors first, and then we can talk.
Well, there's going to be $23 million freed up, so there's definitely going to be some space for him. And, you're talking about goals and assists, and look at William Nylander and Mitch Marner going. Marner's got 22 points, 5 goals, 17 assists, and Willie's got 12 goals, 8 assists, and they are shining. And a very happy, I don't want to say a happy surprise, but my best friend in the world, John Tavares, is also doing very, very well. He's playing great. He's all over the net, and it's amazing. It's great to see him playing. And I don't know, is it the lack of the C on his shirt? Is the pressure off him? Is it that he's got some freedom with Matthews out of the lineup? What is it? Like, what's causing these guys to perform so well?
I don't know. All I remember is that overtime goal where you see, I thought it was in slow motion at first when you see John Tavares slowly skate to the right of the ice, and it was like, and he goes up and grabs the puck, and I thought he was going to get caught from behind, and dude just puts it right in the net. It was beautiful. Unbelievable. It was fantastic. We were swearing a lot at the TV that night, Shane and I. Shane, okay, it's very rare that Shane goes home during a game. I think he's gone home once this year. It should have been like 4 times this year, but once this year.
In absolute protest.
Oh, yeah. Just anger.
And you can figure out which game that is. There's a couple this year, but it's pretty recent.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then this game here, Shane and I are watching. I look over at him to give him the eyes to see if he's staying or not. And he goes, hey, I think I might be going. I might be leaving. And then the controversy started with, first of all, I mean, as much as, I'm a homer and a Leaf fan, that Washington goal, like goaltender interference, that was a goal for Washington. It should have been 4-1. That was suspect call on taking that goal away. But
all 3 should have counted.
I agree. All 3 goals.
All 3 should. I agree with you. All 3 should have counted. But the rule, and I meant to look up the specific rule, but the rule is a distinct kicking motion.
37.
Distinct. 37A, distinct kicking motion. That was not a distinct kicking motion. That was a puck bounced off your leg.
Well, he did kind of kick it a bit. He propelled it. I think that's what they said. He propelled it. So he had the intention of using his foot limb, I guess, to kick it in.
We wanted to kick it with the foot limb. What it definitely says in Rule 37A, if that's the correct, I don't think it is. But anyways, you know what?
91.6.
Direct kicking motion with the skate or the foot. And he hit it with his knee. That's not.
Yeah.
I mean, like, come on.
It's a goal.
It's a goal. Like, how did they decide it wasn't a goal? I would love to hear their explanation to Craig Berube after the game in the alley. Like, tell me really what happened. Like, come on.
It's Rule 6.11. Rule 6.11, kicking the puck. That's the rule.
Okay, and did you see him kick the puck? I didn't see him kick the puck.
That's hockey.
I don't know, but
that's hockey
yeah, but at what point?
That's not NHL.
I don't probably think it's clearly defined on if it's just the skate or if it's the shin pad.
No, it says
or
skate.
What?
It actually says skate or foot.
But I think that part is meant for safety. But like,
yeah,
the
of course
goal would be if someone's kicking it too. That's still a kicking motion because you still have that skate on. Right?
All right, so here it is. According to the NHL rulebook, a goal cannot be scored if the puck is propelled into the net by a player's distinct kicking motion. This includes when the puck deflects off a player's skate and goes into the net. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't, because pucks go off skates all the time and they get counted as goals.
Yeah, but no, not direct kicking motion. If it deflects, it's fine. Anyways, that was
distinct kicking motion.
And then when they slowed it down for, if we go to Nye's goal, who was out front, Lord Farquhar there, he obviously tipped it. You can see his sticks are up high, and where he made contact with the puck, it was below the bar. How could they not see that? Could they not freeze that? We did.
Again, we're talking and we should let's talk about major injustices now.
Sure.
Good God, the reffing is not good this year. And I don't want to be that guy that bitches about the refs every podcast, but holy Lord, like what is going on with the reffing
Oh,
and the line officiating? Oh, it's horrible, horrible. Like what are we doing right now?
I know Rick, your main thing, Rick, is like just drop the puck. The guy goes in the linesman to drop the puck. He's trying to trick. What are you doing? Guys are getting thrown out. Guess what? You go up, puck, drop, move, done. It's not that hard.
Calgary playing LA the other day, and the crowd is booing the linesman because he's not dropping the puck. It's so bad that the crowd is saying to the ref, just drop the puck. Put the puck on the ice. That's it. That's all you have to do. No. He's trying to psych out grown men who are just, stupid.
But you're not part of the game. That's the thing. You're not part of the game. Drop the puck and let's move on. Let the players play. Yeah.
And that penalty that was called against Nyes again, he's skating up. Dude skates into his shoulder, and as he's coming up, Nyes kind of like goes like this to get out of the way. Guy hits him, starts bleeding. They call for a penalty. I'm like, what is going on, man?
That dude hit a ton of bricks, by the way.
Oh yeah. Well, for ton of bricks. What is he? 225 now?
7 or something.
237.
Like
237.
227.
He's a beast.
Is it 227? Yeah.
But he's still like he's not even close to being a grown man yet. He's still a child. Just past being a teenager. He's a mutant.
Yeah, he is a mutant.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He's a big dude, and it's exciting to see this guy developing. And like I thought that game, like that principle, was a huge confidence boost for the Leafs. What a great way to come back from a 3-1 to win in overtime, a 4-3. And they played hard in that back half of that game. I watched them give up the first couple of goals, and it was like, where's that effort? And then they decided, hey, we're not going to lose this game. We're going to come around and we're going to win it. And it was a great effort, and it's got to be a great momentum going into the next game.
It's John Tavares, dude. That guy helped a ton. Same with Knives. But Tavares has been amazing. Amazing.
I called them and gave them some tips. I taught them that breakaway move. Yeah, obviously.
The slow-mo part or the scoring part? Yeah. So, you know what? It was pretty lucky for our friends Craig and Teresa because that would have been the 5th game in a row the Leafs lost at their house. So, just so you know how it works, we have 5 houses that we go to when we watch the games. And usually what we do is whoever's house we're at, when they win, we stay at that person's house. And we travel around. So we start, for example, at my house, and then we go to our friend at Deb's house, and then we go to Shane's house, and we go to our buddy Mark's house, and then we go to Craig and Teresa's. Really out of mercy. We usually only try to go there for preseason games because they lose every time we go there.
That's terrible.
Yeah, so we saw a couple preseason games. Weird, they lost. The first game of the playoffs last year, they lost. And the first St. Louis game, they lost. And it was the Washington game. And they actually just put up Christmas lights. And I looked at Shane and I said, listen, if they lose again, I'm ripping down all your Christmas lights. And you have to let me.
I also said I was tall, so I'll take the ones up top first.
Obviously.
So, yeah.
And that almost happened. Almost.
So, yeah, they're still up, which is nice. It's a good game. Good comeback. That showed some heart, too.
Well, how many minutes was left in that game before? They were still down 2 goals, right? And there was like 6 minutes left?
It was wild. They didn't give up. They had 2 disallowed goals, and they just kept going. They just fine, whatever. No goal.
Good move on Berube to pull the goalie and put a 6-on-4 on the ice, and then Mitchie scores the goal, and off you go to overtime. That's pretty exciting. Good way to push into overtime, and good for his confidence too. Because again, like man, he seems to be shining with Matthews out of the lineup. So hey, you mentioned Washington. Obviously, they were playing Washington, and Ovechkin's coming up on a big record here, and he is 31 goals away from the all-time record. Obviously, Gretzky has the all-time goal record at 894, and Ovi's coming up. What do you think about that? And I want to know what you think about him creeping up on the record this year, and then I have a follow-up question for you.
So I have a couple different things. One is Ovechkin has, guess how many empty net goals in Ovechkin's career had? Were you right?
6.
He's got 58. Michael Bunting, 58 empty net goals on his career. So then I was like, yeah, I bet you Wayne Gretzky has way less. So I looked it up and I was ready to tell you guys. No, I don't think I want to tell you guys how many empty net goals Wayne Gretzky had.
How many?
57. What? So close.
Beat him again. Yeah. He's already beat one.
However, I think there's something that we need to definitely talk about that doesn't get talked about with the Ovechkin and Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky did play in a professional hockey league that was in North America. And those teams and those goals, I believe, should be added to his overall national goal count. So when he played in the WHA, he had 178 goals. So Ovechkin's got to score another, 30 goals plus 178 if he's going to break Wayne Gretzky's record. So that's the way that I look at it. I mean, if you look at his only NHL record, but he doesn't have his North American. Yeah, come on, he doesn't have it.
Doesn't have the world.
So you're saying, to you, he's got to score 209 more goals to own the record?
Yeah, that's what it is, because it's the record for professional hockey for Wayne Gretzky.
It's not the professional hockey record; it's the NHL record.
Yeah,
I think it's now called the professional hockey record goal thingy.
What do you? Are you the New York Rangers hanging a banner in your building that says regular season champions? You can't hang like.
I was the Leafs. I think the Rangers actually did do that, did they not?
They did. They hung a banner. Saying that, it's like hanging the Rangers hanging a banner because they won the President's Cup last year or President's Trophy last year, saying we're the regular season champions. That's not a thing. It's the NHL record. It's 894.
That's pretty nice finishing first in the league. You don't go all the way, but how many do?
Let me ask you a question. Does Ovechkin breaking the record, does that make him the greatest goal scorer of all time? If he exceeds the goal record, does that make him the greatest goal scorer of all time? By statistics, it makes him the best goal scorer of all time.
Well, so the word that you use is the greatest goal scorer of all time. So I don't think he's the greatest goal scorer of all time. He will have the most goals in the NHL, but he's not the greatest goal scorer. I think really the greatest goal scorer of all time is Mike Bossy, right? But he doesn't have the most goals.
What?
But he's the best goal scorer. You know what I mean? So it's all really, semantics. It's how you kind of talk about it. Does it make you the best goal scorer if you have the most, or you just have the most goals? You know what I mean? Like Tim Kerr, for example. How many goals did Tim Kerr score? And he was leading the team. Like he had 52 goals one year, maybe that went off his skate with distinct kicking motions and off other parts of his body. But that doesn't make him the best goal scorer. He just scored the most goals.
Are you talking like style points then?
Well, I mean clutch, right? Like clutch.
Okay, so yeah, clutch. Yeah,
clutch
I imagine there's a lot of clutch goals that Ovechkin has scored. So yeah, I think he is the best goal scorer of all time, the greatest goal scorer of all time, because he scored the most goals in the toughest league in the world. There you go. You can't deny it. That's what it is.
It's a different league today than it was in Gretzky's days. Gretzky in today's NHL, is he that successful as Ovechkin? So if you put them side by side and they played in the same era, who's the better player?
Well, we should look at what about Ovechkin? What about goals per game? You know what I mean? Gretzky and Ovechkin and I don't know, Matthews, or who has the most goals per game? Like I don't know that off the top of my head.
I think it's probably Gretzky.
Goals per game?
Point per game, I guess.
Oh, point per game. Nobody's going to catch him by point per game. Yeah. They said that, like, what was it, last night, McJesus there, he scored his 1,000th point. He was the fourth fastest guy to get to 1,000 points. Gretzky had like 2,850 points.
It's insane.
Right,
and he did it in 648 games, 649 games, something like that. Like that's an incredible rate. Like that's crazy how fast he did that. Like could he put up 2,000 points?
No. Who, you mean McDavid?
McDavid, yeah.
If he's healthy, I think he can. Right, that's like another 8 seasons kind of thing. He could do it.
So hard unless he floats around. He's gonna have to jump from team to team and stay. Like. He can't stay in Edmonton and do that.
So let's play a game. Okay. And the game is guess who has the best goals per game in their career in the NHL and how many. So let's talk about the top 10 and how many are active. How many are active in the NHL today? So and I'll give you a teaser. So Wayne Gretzky is the 7th best goals per game. Okay. He was 0.6 goals per game in his career, 1,487 games played. 894 goals, obviously. 0.6 goals per game. Who is number one? Who had the best goals per game?
Okay, Austin Matthews. How many does he have?
I asked you who has the most.
Marcel Dion.
Not in the top 10. Not in the top 10.
Okay.
Mike Bossy is number one. Mike Bossy has the most goals per game at 0.76. Mario Lemieux, number 2, at 0.75. Cy Denny from the Senators in Boston had a 0.75 goals per game. Never heard of the guy. Babe Dye. 329. Babe Dye, which looks like this is like early era of the NHL, had 272 games played, 203 goals for 0.75 games. The number 5 player with the fifth highest goals per game in their career is number 34 on his jersey, number 1 in your heart, Austin Matthews at 0.65. He is the 5th highest goals per game. Number 8, right behind Wayne Gretzky, Alex Ovechkin at 0.6. Wayne and Novi.
You said right behind who? Sorry?
Right behind Wayne Gretzky.
Weird.
But Ovechkin's got 1,441 games played, and he's got 863. Wayne has 1,487 and 894 goals. Obviously, the glaring difference is Wayne had 1,963 assists, and Ovechkin has 706. He's off by 1,260.
Mind-boggling.
Austin Matthews is at 0.65, the 5th best goals per game in the history of the NHL.
How many games did he play so far, if you mind me asking? I can't remember.
575.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Dude, but I told you Mike Bossy was the best overall goal scorer.
Pure goal scorer.
You did. Okay. And I didn't doubt you on the stats for 1 second. But I
did. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, we had to check it. But I would have said Mario was maybe the best goal scorer of all time. I would have had Brett Hull in there. Brett Hull couldn't skate worth shit, but he was a great goal scorer, especially with his feet in the crease to win the Stanley Cup.
Actually, when he was
talk about that later. Tim Kerr, since you brought it up, has the 11th best goals per game in the NHL. He played 655 games, was a .56. Tim Kerr is ahead of Phil Esposito, Maurice Richard, Cam Neely, Marcel Dion, Pat LaFontaine, Connor McDusty, Pasta, Stammer, and one of my all-time favorites, Rick Vives, number 21 on the list.
Hey, which is where was number 22 released. Hey, so when did Rule 6.11 distinct kicking motion come in? Does it say when it came in? It's probably right after Tim Kerr's career ended. They're like, we need to put something in here. These guys from Philadelphia are shooting the puck out like Ron Hextall. We need a rule. We got Tim Kerr's kicking every puck in the net. We need to stop that. There's a lot of somebody's against the Philadelphia Flyers out there. I think that's what
I'm one of them.
Didn't want to say it out loud.
Yeah. I don't.
Okay, we have it. We might not have it. It looks like rule. So the NHL 24-25 rule book, Rule 49.2. A goal cannot be scored by an attacking player who uses a distinct kicking motion to propel propel the puck into the net with his skate/foot. Rule 49.2.
Is there a date on it or no?
Oh, like probably a revision.
1 day ago.
There you go. Wonder why that 1 day ago. Let's call Tim Kerr. We'll ask him how many he kicked in the net. Okay.
It sounds like my U13 year where I scored the most goals in the league, and I think 3 of them went off my stick, and everything else went off my body.
Not how pretty.
That describes my high school experience. It's not how pretty; it's how many.
There you go.
My both of those are pretty well for me.
Yeah. So. Rick, so you went to the Calgary LA game, I believe, to see your other boyfriend, Mr. Uyghur, right? How did that
Mackenzie
go?
Uyghur. It was an exciting game, and we talked last week or a couple weeks ago about the Flames punching above their weight, and they are punching above their weight again. So LA does not look like a first place team in the Pacific. They are in first place. They got a couple games ahead, or they've played a few more games than other teams, but they did not look like a first place team. I don't want to say Calgary had their way with them because the first period and a half of the game was pretty boring. Like it was pretty just sloppy and moving the puck around. But they came to life after Backlund scored a goal. Huberdeau scored a goal right after that. Dustin Wolf looked great. And one of the most exciting parts of this game is Calgary got a penalty in the last couple of minutes, and I think it was 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Calgary got one of these suspect penalties again. And so Coronado pops out of the box and factors into an empty net goal and factors into their win again. And I'm convinced that Matt Coronado might be the best player in the last 3 minutes of the hockey game because he was kind of invisible for 56.4 minutes of the game. And then right at the end, he decided that he was going to come out, and this guy factors in the win again. And perfect. Like if that's what he does and he's the cause of them winning games, awesome. Then he's doing his job. And if that means you're invisible for most of the game, great. Kemper, the LA goalie, did not look great. He looked a little flat-footed. Anze Kopitar was kind of invisible in the game. Quentin Byfield took a bad penalty and he was kind of invisible in the game. So, whether it's LA lost, like they lost the game, or Calgary won it just because they were, they're punching above their weight. It was a fun game. It was exciting. It was fun to watch. And one of the things I saw in the game, and I don't know if we'll post the video here or maybe on social, but there's Dustin Wolf, who I think might be the best prospect in the NHL right now. He's the goalie goalie one of the tandem, him and Dan Vladar. So he is the goalie for the Flames. He's 23 years old. He's amazing for a 23-year-old, but he shows his youth. So he makes some mental mistakes as a young guy. He has a weird ritual before the start of every period. And he's got this thing where he squirts some water into the blue paint and he does this stretch and then he jumps in the air. And I've never really seen goalie leave their feet like this guy does. But he's got this interesting ritual, and I'll post the video on what he does. I got a pretty good video of it. And I've seen enough games now to watch him and think like, okay, well, it's working because they're winning games. And he's winning games and he's doing well. And maybe that ritual works for him. But it's a different one. And it got me thinking of some different goalie rituals and who did what. And, I think the legend of Marc-Andre Fleury talking to the posts. So he would talk to the posts in the game. They'd have him mic'd up, and you'd hear him talking to them, and nothing like everybody knows goalies are a bit weird. Like they're a little bit off their rocker, and you got to be a little bit weird to be a goalie. But there's some funny rituals out there. I think one of the things we want to hear, one, from the people that are watching the podcast, what are some of the crazy goalie rituals you've seen that are like, okay, that's weird. And I'm not talking like Ron Hextall coming out and slashing a guy in the back of the legs or body checking some dude through the glass. Like that's not quite what I'm talking about. But what are you seeing from these rituals that are like, that's weird, or hey, that worked, or because you and I, we've talked about our rituals. You've got game time rituals, and if somebody watched the game and they won, you got to watch the game again. But if you didn't watch the game, don't watch the next one because we got those superstitions. So, anyways, the goalie ritual I thought was kind of interesting, and fun game.
From Tampa.
How about Zalewski? Crazy eyes.
Oh my gosh! Every game before the game, what does he do? He does some eye kind of thing.
Formula One eye shit.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unsettling, actually. Really. At first, I thought he had something in his eye, but I was like, does he have something in his eye every game, or is this something he's really doing? Right?
It's actually intimidating.
Yeah, I was afraid.
I didn't like it.
Yeah,
he moves all over the place, and it's weird. And he actually has big eyes. If you Google his face, they're huge. Yeah.
Oh, really? Speaking about eyes, who were you telling me the other day that somebody has 2 different color eyes for the Maple Leafs?
Connor Timmins, one of my favorite defensemen right now. Yeah, he's got 2 different eyes. Yeah, one for offense, one for defense.
Not one left and one right.
Yeah, no, I'm left and right colors. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm 99% sure I saw it on. I googled it, so it's going to be true. I'm
sure.
Yeah.
Well, one other ritual that we have after that number one thing, right? So one game, Toronto was playing against, I don't know if I want to bring it up, but against the Columbus Blue Jackets. And we were down in the third period, and this number one finger, can you see it here? Maybe. And there you go. I held this up, and I held it up, and the Leafs scored to be within 1 goal. I had to hold this up like this for the entire third period. The Leafs came back and scored, and in overtime, we scored again. Now, this thing probably only weighs about 3 pounds, but to have your arm exactly up like this for almost 2 full periods is painful. Some of the sacrifices that us fans go through in order to make our teams win.
Are you saying that a svelte gentleman like yourself couldn't handle holding up a pillow for half a period?
I'm telling you, hold it up for 40 minutes like this. And if you hold it up for 40 minutes, it's not as easy as that looks. Now, I might be able to
tissues there.
I'm not going to lie to you, dude. I'm not holding anything up for 40 minutes. I'm not even holding a pen in that arm for 40 minutes. I'm like, no, this is too much. Just because my arm becomes too heavy.
There you go. And I am a father of a goalie, so that's probably where I get it from. Little crazy rituals.
Yeah, little weirdness before the game. Well, we'll post a video, and speaking of videos, we've had some people checking out our videos on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts and stuff, and I really appreciate the comments that people have been sharing with us. And one of the comments was about you, Jay, and we had asked who Matthew Nyes looks like, and we got a bit of feedback on what people thought you looked like. And if you haven't seen the comedian Jay Coy, there was a very distinct resemblance between our very own co-host Mr. Hogan and Jay Coy. Keep those coming, and we really enjoy hearing those comments, and we try to engage with a lot of people on social media. And I think what we'll try...
It's Joe Coy.
Joe Coy. Joe
The
Coy.
funny,
Thank you. Yeah.
the funny thing is, so Joe
Jay
Coy,
Coy.
he tells a story that
That's Jay Coy's his brother.
yeah, he's my brother. His grandmother, also obviously my grandmother, tells a story that her term of endearment to him was, "You're joking, Joe Coy. You're joking." So that's how he got his name, Joe Coy. So he was talking to his grandmother one day and said, "Thank you for calling me that, Joe Coy, because now that's my stage name." She goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I didn't say you're Joe Coy. I said that I called you Joe, and I'm not sure where you got that from." So his nickname was something that he thought he heard, but never actually ever happened. So way to go, Joe Coy.
Wow. All right. Well, I think it might make it a bit of an opportunity for us to do some more comparisons or see some more comparisons from you. I think it'd be cool to take a couple of those NHL players and if we see some cool comparisons, I'd love to see some of those ideas. So Shane, we're looking at you. We need your
insight.
Your master detecting skill on who these people look like.
I think someone said that Matthew Nice looked like Joaquin Phoenix.
So does.
And
Yeah.
he's done. So as a real person, Joaquin Phoenix, I could totally do that.
That guy's ridiculously like symmetrical. Everything is perfect angles. It's ridiculous.
It is. It is.
Yeah. He fits so many different bills.
I thought you were going to say the other comment that you saw in there about Howie Mandel and myself. Did you see that comment?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Howie, wait.
I honestly asked Jason if he was still alive. I didn't know Howie Mandel was still alive.
It's true.
I think he is.
The comment. It's there. He's alive. Yeah. So much time. Yeah.
So, and we're gonna bring this person on the podcast as well. But a mutual friend of ours would often refer to you as Howie Mandel.
That's true. Very true. So yeah, when is Lisa coming on? Did we chat with her?
Yeah, I don't know. We're definitely gonna get her on. We definitely want to hear that. And you may have heard us say instead of saying Timothy Liljegren, you may have heard us calling him Lil Jurgen, and that came from our friend Lisa. And there's a whole story behind Lil Jurgen, and it's a pretty good one. So we'll get her on to tell that story one day.
That's a great story, by the way. Oh my gosh, I laughed so hard. Well, we get a lot of our players, they get different nicknames, right? And we name them ourselves. So who did you say, buddy?
One of them I did with Giraffe.
Oh, Giraffe, right? So number 47.
Number 47.
He now plays for the Islanders, sort of.
They had his name, his nickname was Seabiscuit.
Yeah.
Like the horse. And I'm like, oh man, that's probably better than Giraffe. It was Seabiscuit.
Yeah.
That was his nickname on the team was Seabiscuit. And my new favorite player, which is Knives, by the way. His nickname on the team is shared with another player's nickname as well, and it's Brick. For very different reasons, I was told. One was Brick Wall, and one is Brick from Anchorman. And I will leave it up to you guys to figure out which one looks like Brick from Anchorman. Which one is the one from Anchorman?
And it was confirmed by your best bud, JT.
Yeah.
He confirmed that in conversations, sometimes Matthew Knight just gets upset.
Yeah, I just get upset with him.
I love Lamp.
It's the best.
I love Lamp.
I love Lamp. It's very good.
Amazing.
Stoner surfer.
Yeah. So a totally different topic. Sorry, unless you have something else you want to go on.
No, who's got the best nickname? Like who's got the best NHL nickname? I hear some of the guys on the Calgary guys talking about Jonathan Huberdeau. They call him Johnny Superstar. I don't know if that's much of a nickname on his name, but like, what are some other great nicknames that are out there? Apart from the great one, well, obviously, which is maybe the best nickname of all time. I kind of like McDavid. Like, McDavid's got about 4 of them. So it's McDavid, McJesus, McDusty. Like, he's got a bunch. And I don't know if his teammates call him that. I think that's just what the media calls him. But yeah, there's a couple good ones out there. Matthews is called Pappy.
Big Pappy, yeah. He does that because he was a huge fan of the Boston Red Sox, Big Pappy, right? And therefore, that's one of the reasons why he's called Big Pappy.
Interesting.
Well, that's why he likes the nickname, yeah.
Is it Big Pappy or just Poppy?
I think he's just Poppy, but...
Yeah, I think it's just Poppy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, too. We call him whatever he wants. Yeah, we can call him whatever. Yeah, obviously.
Who else?
So, some of the other nicknames, I don't know, there's so many out there, like, oh my gosh. He just got injured, number 67, but number 1 in your heart. Former
Patches.
captain. Yeah, Pacioretty. So our buddy Deb calls him Panzerotti, right? And I'm like, what do you call? Like, yeah, Panzerotti.
Was alcohol a factor?
It might have been, and they also back when
Yeah, it was definitely.
yeah. Yeah, it definitely was. Oh yeah, for sure it is.
Sometimes you're nervous drink when you're watching the game, right?
Oh, for sure.
And
Absolutely.
those are faster than others, and like it's not good. Sometimes I've put myself to sleep in the playoffs, man. It's been a problem.
We had to pause and wake them up a couple times. It's true. True story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hey,
some of the other.
you had another topic to bring up. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
You go.
So one of the things that I wanted to look at, and I really want Craig Berube to be successful, simply because if he's successful, then the Leafs are successful. So, you hear a lot of people talking about, they're playing the Craig Berube way. They're playing north-south. This is really what they're all about. So I dove into the stats again, just to see really if it was working. One of the things that they looked at, their goals against, average in the league, out of 32 teams, they're 6th overall, like 6 goals against, right? So that's amazing. Their power play, which is gone, this is kind of just another stat.
Are these stats this year?
Yeah, current
Okay.
stats.
All right. Okay.
So we went from power play being 32nd overall, they're up to 14th overall for power play. Shots on net is really what's happening. Shots on net, they're 14th overall, but their shooting percentage is 21st overall, which for a team that scored a ton of goals, I think is really what's holding us back is our shooting percentage. And as you know, and as they say, if you're a good scorer or you're a good player out there, your shooting percentage when it's low, it's not going to be 3-4%, or it's not going to be 20%. It's usually going to average out. So I think the Leafs are shooting under 10%, which is not their overall average. Their average is, I believe it was 14%. So it's going to raise by 40%. Heck, if it raises by 40%, 40 basis points, that's 40% more goals. I'll take it.
I'm
Look at
going to say no.
I'm going to probably say,
No.
not going to happen.
I don't think so. It's going to be a low-scoring team, and that's what it is. He doesn't want them to be run and gun like they have in the past. It didn't work for them. They need to learn, and this whole regular season is going to be just learning to play low event, low scoring, tight game. That's it. Practice hitting, jumping, like pucks in deep. I know it sounds stupid, but pucks in deep, hit the play, win the battles, get it out. That's it. That's how you win in the playoffs. You can't win being fancy.
You can't.
Run and gun doesn't work. It doesn't.
And if you can think of any other sport that when it comes from regular season to the playoffs, that changes.
It's 100% a different game.
Totally. Like if you look at basketball, it's basketball, regular season, playoffs, it's the same game. You know what I mean? If you're the best team usually in the NBA and you get into the playoffs, you make it through to the final rounds, right? If you look at football, best teams in football, same thing in football, same thing in baseball. But what changes in hockey? What is so different that from the regular season, you go to the playoffs?
Injustices. Sorry, I had to say it right away. I'm so sorry. Yeah, there's injustices, and I hear it all the time watching hockey with them.
It's true. They don't call. You think they don't call the penalties in the regular season? When you get to the playoffs, I mean, you could take pretty much Marty McSorley to I think it was Donald Brashear.
I think that's
hit to the head. Yeah,
just around here.
Oh, and that's not a penalty in the playoffs. However, in the regular season, that's going to get you a lifetime ban.
Yeah.
Right? So it's crazy. So first of all, penalties in the playoffs are totally different. Second of all, if you were a player that doesn't block shots in the regular season because you don't want to get hurt, you now sacrifice your body. You will jump in front of pucks. You'll block shots. Shot block percentage goes up 30% in the playoffs. It's ridiculous. So players are playing different. I think that's what Craig Berube is having the Leafs do. Like Shane alluded to. Yeah, right. So I think if they can play that way and they can score in those tight scoring games, that's going to be the difference. And for whatever reason, it doesn't just happen for the Leafs, but power plays tank in the playoffs. One, there isn't as many. If you don't get in a groove, it's not going to be the game changer that it is usually during the regular season. Everybody in that if it's just one penalty, you got all 4 guys that are blocking shots, right? So a huge difference besides the 10
Well, the intensity just ticks up, right? So when you go to the playoffs, there's that next gear that you can find, and guys play half dead. They play through injuries and they play through all the ailments of the year, and the intensity really ratchets up. And you look at teams like Florida, and Florida, again, they have a couple of good star players, but we're not talking top tier players, but they play a system and they score goals in the power play, and they're relentless on the back check and relentless when it comes to grit, and they're all in front of the net. So there's no pucks getting through to the net.
Yep. And of the 16 teams that made the playoffs last year, Florida in the regular season was last in blocking shots, but in the playoffs, they blocked the most shots.
Crazy.
Right? So look, that's the difference right there.
Hey, let's talk about stats for a second, and let's talk about one of my favorite players right now, Anthony Stolarz. So he's been absolutely fantastic, and I wanted to throw a quick stat out there. So do you know who the best save percentage in the NHL is right now? Which goalie is Hellebuck? Connor Hellebuck's number one.
I knew
Both
that.
shutouts.
What's the save
number?
percentage?
Hellebuck is something stupid. It's like 960. Number two in the league. Number two is Anthony Stolarz at save percentage. This guy has been an all-star for us. Like, he's been lights out, and he's stolen a couple of games. And yeah, he's let a few goals in, and they've lost with him in the net as well. But now to have Wallback and Stolarz and have a genuine 1-2 punch in the net, man. Like, that is, and the way they're going right now, again, hey, we talked about something super controversial last week, and we talked about what does it look like trading Austin Matthews, and what does that look like if they do? But look how they're playing without Matthews. Again, I'm not advocating to trade Austin Matthews. I love the guy. I love watching him play. He's exciting. He's an amazing 200-foot player. But when it all comes down to it, all that matters is the Leafs winning games and getting to the cup. And the way they're going right now, with the goalie punch, with Mitchie going, with Willie scoring goals, Tavares looking great, they look pretty good.
He's looking amazing.
Yes, yeah.
I'll go with my for sure. And you know what's amazing is that, like, it's not even questioned anymore on who's the number one goalie. There's no question. It's Stolarz. Without a doubt. And
It's his net.
high hopes still. For Wall, we still have high hopes.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't matter what he did. It's Stolarz has played unbelievable. Everything he does is calm, like very chill. Very chill, no panic in front of the net at all for him. Everything is methodical. I'm so happy to see that. It's been a long time since we've had good goaltending.
And guess how much we pay for goaltenders? It's like $3.2 million, both goalies combined. Now, mind you, Wall's on an entry level still. But another staggering number is the Washington Capitals. They pay for their two goalies, Lindgren and Thompson. They pay like $1.8 million a year for those two goalies.
I don't believe they're as sustainable as our duo of goalies.
Oh, I know, I agree. I was just like shocked at how much we're not paying. They're not paying the goalies.
Yeah, I think we'd be remiss to not talk about Connor Hellebuck, and obviously he signed $8-point-something million. Him and Scheifele signed on the same day, and Winnipeg has figured something out. They've got some secret sauce going on, and they've won another game. And what is it about the Winnipeg Jets that has got them going? Like, oh my God. I was talking with somebody about the Winnipeg Jets the other day, and I told them, like, I really hope this run that they're on comes crashing to a halt, because I hate that they're just crushing it right now. But it's also a tough time for a team to be hot. Like, they are a hot team right now, and it's the worst time you want to be hot. Speaking of the playoffs, like, you want to be really ramping up and getting hot as you get into the playoffs. Right now, 15-1 is great. It's an NHL record. It's the best season any team has ever got off, or the best start any team's got off to. But is there any kind of longevity to that? Can they sustain that pressure? Can they maintain what they're doing and get into the playoffs? And if they do, is this a cup team? Is this a Stanley Cup winning formula? What is it? Like, what are they doing? What do they got?
I don't know. The weird thing is a couple things. One, you said the President's overall points winner. If they trend the same way they're doing right now at 51, that puts them first overall. How well does the President's Trophy winner in the NHL do? They suck. They don't do well. So it's almost like they put all their eggs in one basket during the regular season to do whatever they can to win at that point. So that's one point. The other point is, what's different in Winnipeg this year versus last year? What did they do differently?
Yeah, that's it.
So the head coach is different, and they got rid of, who went to Washington, the big center,
Wayne Gretzky?
Jean-Luc Picard. That's not him.
Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah.
Captain Picard went to the,
Yeah, Captain Picard went to Washington. Dude, he was come on, guys. He played for Columbus, went to LA, then went to Winnipeg.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's gone, right? Who else? Like, what else is different? There's not a lot of stuff that's different. So, their shooting percentage is really high. They did have a lot of injuries last year. So maybe these are some of the differences. So we got coach, two players that are signed, like you said, Rick. Those two players are now signed, so people aren't worried about if they're leaving or not. So maybe they're a confident bunch, man. Maybe they believe in each other. Maybe they're doing something, right?
They've got to have figured out some kind of hockey science where they've got some system and rhythm figured out. And it's something that I've been trying to watch for. Like, I've been trying to watch, like, their power play. The way they set on their power play is very efficient. The way they set up and score goals in the power play looks good. And it looks like teams should be setting up. Like, this is how the power play should look. They're not, reaching for that guy kind of hanging off on the dasher and looking for that big one-timer. They've got 3 guys that can put the puck in the net during that power play at any given time. And that's a big deal. They also, what I've noticed is they box out really well in front of the net. And Hellebuck's been great, and their goal differential is really strong. But they also keep the bodies and pucks away from the net most of the time, which is interesting because their defense, beyond their top 2, their defense isn't great. They don't have a strong defense core.
Hellebuck.
And Morrissey.
Yeah, and they haven't changed the team very much from the last season. So realistically, they're all familiar with each other. So you're not. Other teams are suffering a little bit, so to speak, of like getting together and learning how to play together. Where Winnipeg is not one of those people. They are basically the same as last year, but just the coach. Your familiarity with the system and other players. Your start can be hotter than the others, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure.
And you also have Hellebuck. Yeah. So whatever.
No, Shane has been, anytime the Leafs have got knocked out or whatever, he's always hoped for the Jets. He told me that they're going to win the Cup for the last 10 years. So
yeah.
Maybe we know what the jinx is, right? For the Leafs and the Jets. But anyways, I think...
It's terrible.
I think the Jets are going to crash and burn. I mean, really, they are.
I don't think so.
It's going to be a massacre. It's not going to be good. It's going to be laughable, actually. Really funny how they come down to earth. Because they just lost a game actually to, I think it was Tampa Bay, 3-1. That now they're up against a bunch of good teams. If you look at who they played, Rick, they played a whole whack of teams in the beginning of the season that weren't playing well.
Right.
So part of the reason why their record is so good is because of who they played and when they played them.
They lost to Tampa. They play Florida next.
Yeah, they play Florida next, and then who I think they got a couple against New Jersey coming up too. Toronto's beating them as well. I mean,
that's it though. 2, only 2. It's still killer.
But
you can't argue with it.
But go look who they played.
It doesn't matter. You get to play who you play.
No. I think they played Anaheim 7 times. Like, come on. No wonder they won those games.
So let's talk about the next Toronto game. Speaking of games coming up, let's talk about the next Toronto game. So it's Friday right now. We're recording this on a Friday. It comes out on a Monday. And we got a big game coming up tomorrow. So Saturday, Toronto and Edmonton. And Toronto versus Edmonton is a game that, that needs to be, for Toronto, needs to be a statement game. So Edmonton is not playing great. Toronto needs to come out and they need to put a stamp on this one and say, we beat the team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year, and we did it with our system, and we did it with confidence, and I think they've got a big, important game coming up. Even though Edmonton hasn't been playing their best hockey, they've got a positive winning percentage now, but they're not looking great. But Toronto still has to come out and say, this is the game we're going to set the tone.
No, absolutely. And I think that one name that we haven't spoke about in this whole podcast, which I'm really surprised about, is Yanni Hakanpää, who's solidifying our D. We now have all 3 D pairs, lefty, righty. We got guys.
Yeah, that's unheard of, actually.
For us, anyways.
For anyone. And all through your line is not common. That's very hard to do.
And Hakanpää looked pretty good in that Washington game. He did look out of sorts, wearing number 28 for the Leafs there, just so those folks keep track at home. And I'm pretty jacked about Hakanpää. And I'm telling you, the one thing that Edmonton can't do is play defense. And then Mr. Skinner there.
Suspect goal.
Oh, my God. He's hit or miss. Right?
It's not good. It's not good.
It's not good. Not good at all.
And same thing with their defenseman.
Canada. Jesus.
Evan Bouchard, look at their best defenseman, Evan Bouchard, and the rumors about his contract coming up and him wanting $10 million.
He's a train wreck right now.
He's a train wreck. He is not good right now either. Your goalie is not stopping pucks. Your best defenseman is not doing him many favors. And they got rid of. Look at those offer sheets from St. Louis where they let Broberg go to St. Louis. They had this up-and-coming defenseman. This guy was the real deal. He was going to be a great D. Yeah, we don't need him.
And just by the way, I can beat Leon Draisaitl in a race on skates.
So they got slow. They got older and slower with getting rid of those young D people like Skinner. Like, I know Skinner's a pretty, like, really nice pickup for sure, but I'm like, is that what you really needed? You needed more offense on that team? Probably not. No
defense.
You needed to do what the Leafs did this year and focus on picking up D and shutting that down. Yeah.
No, I agree. 100%.
We see run and gun doesn't work, man.
And two,
it's a mess. It's a mess.
It's a mess, man. It is. That being said, you got Connor and Draisaitl. Sure. What the hell, man? You can still win it any given moment.
Look, like McDavid carries that team. Like, he is the reason they win games. Like, he literally puts them on his back and carries them to their wins that they have. The guy is incredible. Like, he is probably the greatest hockey player of all time. If you think about what he does and like how fast he is and how good his hands are, how he scores, how he play makes. But
I think he's definitely the fastest player of all time. And when you are the fastest player, you know what I mean? It gives you a leg up on a bunch of people. But again, I don't believe that he's the best hockey player, well-rounded, goal-scoring, defensive playing that's ever been in the NHL. A lot of people think he is, and I don't think he is. He's Canadian. He's from Newmarket, so like the Toronto area. You would think I would have 11 for the guy, but I don't. The guy's super, super fast, and that's what kills.
I lived in Newmarket for years.
That's Shane's fault again there. But I'm telling you, like, defensively sound. He can't even, no way. The guy's got problems. He didn't even know where the defensive zone was for the first 7 years he played.
He's got problems. He's got 1,000 points in 649 games.
Yeah. Sorry, he's got problems playing defense.
Okay.
And defense wins championships.
What's his total plus minus? Does anyone have access to that right now?
It's terrible. You don't. Please look at this up. Oh, yeah, no, I already know.
I don't know if I want to know, but I do want to know. But anyways, there's a definite chance. I'm assuming getting back to
Connor McDavid's career plus minus.
Yeah.
Any guesses?
Minus 23.
He's a +6.
Plus 155.
Okay, that's really a lot better than what I thought.
Well, I don't like this stat at all. Can we cut that from the pod? Thank you.
No, plus 155.
It's way off.
And you thought he's from Newmarket?
The greater Newmarket area.
Is Richmond Hill part of the greater Newmarket area?
Yes.
Yes, GTA, yeah.
No.
Is there a hospital in Richmond Hill? Maybe that's what they're talking about.
There is a hospital in Richmond Hill. You're right.
Born in Richmond Hill Hospital. He grew up in Newmarket.
His worst year was 2019, so the COVID year, and he was a -6 that year. Every other year, plus 21, plus 28, plus 22, plus 35. Career total plus 155.
Yeah.
I'd say defensively sound.
Well, when you're playing, if you're playing 58 minutes a game, you're going to get all the pluses. I'm telling you, right, and the minuses too. Watch this game defensively. He wouldn't be the guy I would put on the ice if we were up by 1 goal. And if you watch Edmonton, you're not putting him on the ice. I'm telling you that right now, you're not.
I'm putting him on the ice, no matter what it is. Even if his leg is half off his body and his head's hanging to the side, he's going on the ice. I don't care.
I'm sorry, it's your goal. Whatever. Hey, I want to end on this. So here's 2 names that did really, really well, and only in the playoffs. Ready for this? Chris Kontos and John Druth. We need to go find those 2 guys to come to the playoffs for the Maple Leafs this year. Who are going to be the Maple Leafs? Chris Kontos and John Druce.
Where the fuck are they?
What did Chris Kontos do?
Dude was clutch in the playoffs, scoring goals. And John Druce was, like, unbelievable in the playoffs, scoring goals. That's what we need. We'll talk after. Okay.
Too old.
So we need 2 guys that are like them to show up for the Maple Leafs in the playoffs.
No, we need one.
You're right.
More second line center. That is it.
We need one more player.
All we need.
One more player.
A second line center.
One more. Alexander Nylander.
No.
Thank you, Shane.
A second line. Fucking second line center, man.
All right.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, Max Domi's just not it, and Tavares has got to be the best third line center in the league. But that's where he needs to be. He needs to be the third line center.
You could pick up someone nice, and I don't even know who the hell is out there. But like, if you could pick up a second line center, are you kidding me? That's exactly what we need.
Well, clearly, I jinxed it.
Solid. Our D's is fantastic. Our goalies are fantastic. We need one guy to slot everyone correctly.
I don't know, you guys are talking about Johnny T being great, and I agree with you.
I love him. But I'd love him more on a third line center.
I talked about Anthony Mantha in the last pod, and I jinxed it. And now he's out with an ACL. Mantha's out for the year.
Padre.
Well, Kadri would be good.
Oh God,
If
no.
he stupid contract, man, or else he'd be here.
Talking about a guy who doesn't know where the defensive side of the ice is, Nazem Kadri, no way. That is the last guy we need. No
I don't
Nazem
think so.
Kadri, please.
He's in the playoffs.
Yeah, until he gets suspended for doing something stupid. His wires get crossed and he tries to slash somebody's neck with his skate.
But at least he was standing up for his team, unlike Ryan Reeves, who hasn't had a fight in 270 days, by the way.
He doesn't need to.
Obviously.
Doesn't need to. No one wants to fight him.
Holmberg fights.
Yeah, but no one wants to
Cave
fight him.
fights.
No, doesn't matter.
I fight.
Like,
Whatever. Come on, this guy. Anyways, what else we got
That's it. That's all we got. We got
All right,
episode
man.
6 in the books.
in the Bucks?
Hey, we got
Thank you for coming
TikTok.
by.
Yeah, thank you, Shane. We really appreciate you coming by. Check us out on TikTok, on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, all the different channels. We want you to interact with us. Send us a message and a note and a topic to talk about. We want to talk about the topics that are important to you too. To those of you who are in Germany and Russia and downloading our show, thank you. We want to hear from you too. So until next week, have a great week and go Leafs go.
Go Leafs go. See McDavid.
Thanks for tuning in to the Hockey Huddle and hanging out with us through all the slap shots, big hits, and highlight reel plays. Whether you're a diehard fan or just getting into the game, we appreciate you being part of our hockey family. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and hit us up on social media with your thoughts, questions, or hot takes. We love hearing from you. Until next time, keep your stick on the ice, your head up, and we'll catch you in the next period. Take care, everyone.